What's up, Vikings fans? I want to get into. There's been a lot of talk, and we've transitioned into talking about the Bengals game coming up today, later today, depending on when you watch this, as I record. But there's been a lot of talk about JJ McCarthy's performance in the first two games and some fear mongering of, well, what if Carson Wentz plays well? And other people say he's a bust and, we got to just let it go. And level-headed people like myself have screamed into the ether, it's 2 games. It's just 2 games. Relax. And so what I wanted to do, I wanted to look up some recent quarterbacks that we consider to have had very successful rookie years and look at their first 2 games versus the perception of them after their entire rookie season. So last year, Jayden Daniels had what I feel like most people have referred to as the best rookie quarterback season of all time. Bo Nix changed a lot of people's minds from what they thought about him coming into the draft, led the Broncos to the playoffs, had what I think most people would consider a very successful rookie season, and then the year before, CJ Stroud, who at the time had what a lot of people said was the best rookie quarterback season of all time. So I want to look at those 3 guys, their first 2 games as a starter compared to JJ McCarthy's first 2 games, just to lend some relaxation. Like, let's just chill. It's 2 games. I know when you're in the season, every game is life and death, and that's just part of being a fan. But when you're talking about developing a young quarterback, it's ultimately a long-term thing. It's about the bigger picture. So I want to put some minds at ease that if JJ works out, if he doesn't work out, I pounded the table for him coming out of the draft. So I am biased in that regard. I'm also a Michigan fan, so I'm biased in that regard. But regardless of my bias, just some evidence as to why we need to pump the brakes and wait and gather a larger sample size. So Jayden Daniels, in his first career game at Tampa Bay, they lost 37-20. Jayden Daniels went 17 for 24 for 184 yards, 70% completion percentage, 7.67 yards per attempt, 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 2 sacks, and he had 3 fumbles, but he didn't lose any of them. In his second career game at home against the New York Giants, who ended up being terrible, they won 3 games. Washington won 21-18. Jayden Daniels went 23 for 29, 226 yards, 79% completion, 7.79 yards per attempt. Again, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 5 sacks, and no fumbles. In his first career game, he did have 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you saw the running ability, the playmaking ability in that regard. Second career game, 10 rushes for 44 yards, no touchdowns. So ultimately, his first 2 career games, he accounted for 2 total touchdowns, no turnovers, but he did fumble 3 times. Bo Nix, first career game, 26 for 42, a lot of passing, 138 yards, 62% completion, only 3.29 yards per attempt, which is putrid. 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. He did have 5 rushes for 35 yards and a touchdown, and no fumbles. Second career game at home against Pittsburgh, they lost 13-6. He went 20 for 35 for 246, 57% completion, 7.03 yards per attempt. Again, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 4 rushes for 25 yards, no fumbles. CJ Stroud, first career game on the road against Baltimore. Baltimore beats Houston 25-9. CJ Stroud goes 28 for 44, 242 yards, 63.6 completion percentage, 5.5 yards per attempt, not great. 0 touchdowns, 0 interception, 5 sacks, 4 rushes for 20 yards, and he lost a fumble. Then his second career game at home against Indianapolis, they lost 31-20. He was 30 for 47, 384 yards, 63.8 completion percentage, 8.17 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception, 6 sacks, 3 rushes for 1 yard, and he lost another fumble. JJ, first career game at Chicago on the road. Vikings win 27-24, 13 for 20, not a lot of attempts, 143 yards, 65% completion, 7.15 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, took 3 sacks, 2 rushes, 25 yards, and the rushing touchdown that ultimately was the deciding score in the game. Second career game at home against Atlanta. They lost 22-6. It was just last week. 11 for 21, 158 yards, 52.4% completion, 7.52 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 6 sacks, 5 rushes for 25 yards, and the 1 fumble lost. So you add all these up. In his first 2 career games, Jayden Daniels, the best rookie quarterback season of all time, 40 for 53, 75% completion, 410 yards, 7.7 yards per attempt, 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 fumbles, but he didn't lose any, 7 sacks. Bo Nix, 46 for 77, 59% completion, 384 yards, 4.98 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, 0 fumbles, 4 sacks. Then CJ Stroud, 58 of 91, 64% completion, 626 yards, 6.88 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception, 2 fumbles lost, 11 sacks. JJ, 24 for 41, 59% completion, 301 yards, 7.34 YPA, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 fumble lost, 9 sacks. So Daniels, Nix, and Stroud combined in their first 2 games, so 6 games total. 2 passing touchdowns between the 3 of them in a total of 6 games. 2 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns, 5 fumbles, 2 lost. So this equals 5 total touchdowns between the 3 of them, 6 total turnovers, 22 sacks, and of the 6 games combined, 3 games with 0 total touchdowns, 1 for each of the 3. And 5 of the 6 games from those 3 quarterbacks, 0 passing touchdowns. So completion percentage, McCarthy's at 59%, kind of tanked from the Atlanta game. This matches the Bo Nix 59% completion from his first 2 games. 301 total yards, which is the lowest of the 4. But again, you got to look at Jayden Daniels had 53 pass attempts. Bo Nix had 77 pass attempts. CJ Stroud had 91 pass attempts. JJ only had 41. So we got to look at the yards per attempt. And he's second of the 4. Bo Nix clearly at the bottom, 4.98. Then CJ Stroud at 6.88. Then JJ at 7.34. And Jayden Daniels at 7.7. JJ ties CJ Stroud for 2 total passing touchdowns in his first 2 games. 3 interceptions is the second worst behind Bo Nix, who had 4 in his first 2 games. The 1 rushing touchdown is tied with Nix for the second most, behind Jayden Daniels, who had the 2 in his first career game. 1 fumble lost is, I don't know how you would necessarily rank this, because Jayden Daniels had 3 fumbles, but none lost. Bo Nix had no fumbles, and CJ Stroud lost 2 fumbles. And then with the sacks, the 9 sacks feels like a lot, but CJ Stroud had 11 sacks, and we know their offensive line was and is terrible. Bo Nix only had 4 sacks, but Denver has a very strong offensive line. You got McGlinchey, you got Quinn Miners, Garrett Bowles over the last few years has really stepped his play up. So, I mean, with the sacks, part of that is you're getting used to the speed of the game, so you're holding onto it a little bit longer. You're going to take more sacks than a veteran quarterback behind the exact same offensive line. But the other part of it is it's the quality of the offensive line. Like Washington went out and improved their offensive line. Jayden Daniels took 7 sacks in 2 games. Bo Nix, like I said, had a good offensive line. Houston, terrible offensive line. And CJ Stroud took 11 sacks in 2 games. Like that's been a big thing. It's like, oh my God, JJ took 9 sacks in 2 games and we spent all this money on the offensive line. Well, he's got a backup left tackle. Then for 2 quarters, he's on his 3rd string left tackle. Backup center for 2 quarters when the fumble loss happened and one of the interceptions. So it's sort of a hodgepodge between all these guys, but there's nothing in here that's really glaringly bad compared to everyone else, other than maybe the lack of attempts, which comes down to the lack of rhythm for the offense, which part of that's on him, part of that's on the play calling, part of that's on the offensive line, part of that's on the playmakers who they've talked about in press conferences, just little like lack of detail things, just tiny little things that matter, that if you're not like fully doing exactly what you need to do, all 11 guys at the same time can bite you in the ass. So I think the biggest thing with all these guys is within these first 2 games, except for Bo Nix, like Jayden Daniels, you saw the rushing potential. He had the 88 yards in his debut, 2 rushing touchdowns, where it's something you can hang your hat on. It's something you can look at and say like, okay, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet, but he's got a high completion percentage and he's running the football. With CJ Stroud, good completion percentage, high volume of passing yards. Like we can put a lot on this guy and he's going to go out and get it done. No interceptions, 2 passing touchdowns, something we can hang our hat on. And with JJ, the biggest reason to like JJ coming out of the draft is he just has this intangible thing. You know, he's a handoff merchant, whatever. But when the chips are down, when you need him to go out and ball, he elevates his play and he has that intangible factor where he's going to go get it done. And we saw that in his debut in Chicago. Three touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing in the 4th quarter to bring him back and win the game. So there's something there to hang your hat on. You saw the promise of the premise of JJ McCarthy in that first game. And that's really all you're looking for. Because even Bo Nix here, what are you hanging your hat on with a 59% completion percentage, 4.98 yards per attempt, 0 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions? What like there's nothing you're really hanging your hat on with Bo Nix. But let's look at the end of the season stats compared to where they started with the first 2 games. CJ Stroud ends up 319 for 499, 8.2 yards per attempt, 4,100 yards, 23 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions, took 38 sacks in 15 games, and 100 passer rating. Jayden Daniels, 331 out of 480, 7.4 yards per attempt, 3,568 yards, 25 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He took 47 sacks and 100 passer rating and ran for 891 yards with 6 touchdowns. He ultimately fumbled 5 times and lost 0 of them. So more than half of his fumbles came in his first career game or in his first 2 career games. And then Bo Nix, who had the worst debut of all 4 of these quarterbacks in his first couple games, 376 for 567, 6.7 yards per attempt, 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 24 sacks, ran for a 93.3 passer rating, ran 92 times for 430 yards with 4 touchdowns, 3 fumbles, 0 lost. So he ends up with 29 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions, despite starting with 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his first 2 starts. It's like there's room here to grow. There's room to turn things around. Like Bo Nix was a guy who had an insane amount of college experience, started a ton of games in college. He came in the perfect match for what Sean Payton wants to do. And it just takes some time to adjust. He ends up having a very nice, very solid, they went to the playoffs. Again, 29 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions, despite your first 2 games starting 0-4. There's room to grow. That's all. Like, there's so much is ado about, they got this great roster assembled around JJ. He's going to step in and they're going straight to the moon right away. And that would have been nice, but the game's faster. You're playing with the big boys now. It's a hard game. There's time needed to adjust. We got to give him time to adjust. I know the way the roster's built, we want to win right now. They're built to win right now. But there's been a lot of injuries. Again, you're on your 3rd string left tackle. Hopefully Darrisaw plays today. I saw some reports. The sources say that he's playing today, or he's expected to play. But 3rd string left tackle, backup center. You have a quarterback in his 2nd start, backup center who's never started a game and is playing his first actual snaps as a center. Who's adjusting the protection? Who's making the calls for the protection? Alex Boone did a breakdown of a lot of the plays from the game against the Falcons, and he said most of this is fixable. A lot of this stuff comes down to communication, which, again, you're on a backup center, quarterback making his 2nd start. It is what it is. We got to give him time to adjust. It's not the end of the world. You saw enough in that 4th quarter, and I know it's been 7 quarters of terrible football and 1 quarter of A+ excellent football. But you look at these other guys, and it's again, it's a mixed bag. I didn't go through the game charts to see what the game flow was on these first 2 games, but there was mistakes made. They're taking sacks. They're turning the ball over. There's, in some cases, a lack of efficiency, a lack of moving the ball down the field. There's not a lot of passing touchdowns among these guys. Again, combined, all three of these guys combined in their first 2 games threw the same amount of passing touchdowns as J.J. McCarthy did in his first game in 1 quarter. So there's something there to hang your hat on. Don't panic. Everything's going to be fine. Kevin O'Connell has proven he knows how to work with quarterbacks. They'll get it figured out. Everyone always says, remember, Kirk Cousins has been around for forever, for 10 years. And he said he didn't really fully grasp the offense until his 2nd season, which obviously ends with the Achilles tear. But that's a guy that's been around for 10 years. Multiple teams, multiple offensive coordinators. He's had to learn a bunch of stuff throughout his career. And it took him a full year to understand this offense. Let's give him some grace, give him some time, trust the roster. If the roster gets healthy, Darrisaw's on his way back. Kelly's going to come back from the concussion. We're going to get Jordan Addison back. Let's just tranquilo, relax. Everything's going to be fine.